back with some TF2. We're reacting. If you get TF2, you'll get TF2. Okay, that's... Oh, okay. Actually, let's watch something else.
Yes, I finally made it to the stronghold. It only took me 52 hours. Oh boy, wait a minute. Oh my god! No way, I got the super rare stronghold.
These are some of the funniest fake Minecraft speedruns because the speedrunners are absolutely terrible at hiding the fact that they're literally cheating. This speedrun starts out pretty suspicious because if you look down inside their hotbar, they are inside of their second hotbar slot, even though they're supposed to be in their first one. Not only this, their crosshair is off-centered with the tree in front of them, and you are always looking perfectly straight whenever you start a speedrun. So far, that is already two things that we can point out about the speedrun before it even started. The speedrunner immediately runs straight and begins mining the tree. And as the speedrunner is mining the tree, they say this.
Oh wait, there's an iron golem. Another iron golem. Another iron golem. Oh, my iron golem.
Yeah, for some reason inside of this village, there are an insane amount of iron golems. I honestly think they just placed down these iron golems themselves.
Abusing TF2's strongest...
So, they added the new playable... character to TF2. And he is broken. He can chase rocket-jumping soldiers out of the sky. His slam makes engineers sad.
Dispenser down!
His charge punch sends him across the entire map.
Screw gravity!
And he can stop people, which is pretty funny. I'm not saying he's broken just because he's a boss fight. Obviously, he needs to be very strong.
Saxon Hail!
But when you put Hail in the hands of someone who knows what they're doing, he seems a bit overtuned.
Saxon Horn!
Here, I start the round with 18,000 health, because I'm against 20 people. Guess how much damage I take. Let's do some gameplay analysis. Let's see. It looks like I might be killing everything. Even when I skip boring sections, this clip just keeps going. Hail deals so much damage, he's so mobile. Look, this pyro can't do shit. Okay, he could have outlasted, but still. You know, this rampage is going on for so long that I'm actually running out of things to say. Wow, it's not even close. Saxon Hail is so easy for me that I can literally go AFK, lose half of my health, and then kill everyone anyway.
Also,
But what makes Hail so broken? Is there anything specific we can play? Is fixing him as simple as just lowering his health, or is there a different cause? What are the best strategies for winning as him? That's what I aim to answer in this video. To start, let's break down how Saxon Hail works.
Well, he just...
I don't want clay dust inside of you.
Fun fact, you can do this. Stop seeing this ad, and then return to video.
Saxon Hail's maximum health depends on the number of people on the other team. The formula is a bit too complex for my simpleton brain to understand, but all you really need to know is that bigger number equals bigger number. His fists do 195 damage, except to medics, who have some damage resistance. Medics also take more knockback, letting them fly away from your punches. Hail's movement speed is 322 hammer units per second, just a smidge faster than Medic and Spy. You might think Scout would be able to just run away from Hail forever, but Hail decided to borrow a stat from Soldier's escape plan. His movement speed rises as he becomes injured. Hurt him enough and he'll start running at 520 hammer units per second. Hail has quite a few movement abilities that can increase his mobility. Brave Jump works similarly to Scout's Double Jump, but while Scout's Double Jump is small and lets the player quickly change directions, Hail's Brave Jump is a bit different. It's way bigger, that part's obvious, but less obviously, it's not as good for changing directions. Instead, you're encouraged to brave jump in the direction you're already going, as doing so will give you a speed boost. If you do your jump after a running start, you'll basically double your speed. Most classes won't be able to outrun this, and it's why you see so many Saxon players jumping around like mad, especially since the brave jump has no cooldown whatsoever. Also, you can stack brave jump with other sources of momentum, whether that be horizontal or vertical.
Screw gravity!
Way down lets you descend quickly by holding the crouch button. You can do this at any time. It doesn't have a cooldown. If you pair brave jump with way down, you can constantly move up and down, making it much harder for the mercenaries to shoot you. It's also great for lowering your jump height, making it less likely for someone to run underneath you. I did mention stomping on people's heads earlier. It does 195 damage, the same as a punch. You can even combo both of these hits together to take down the game's tankier classes. But if you're not precise enough with your stomps, the next best thing is Mighty Slam, which is a lot more forgiving. Unlike a way down or brave jump, this one has a cooldown. When it's ready, Hale will do a unique animation when he fastballs, raising his fists in first person and body slapping in third person. If you're still holding crouch when you hit the floor, you'll damage enemies on a radius. After this, it goes on cooldown for 15 seconds. It's specifically designed for damaging large clusters of people. The damage dealt depends on your opponent's maximum health, so while it might not insta-kill anyone in particular, it still forces people to back off and heal themselves. Or if you damage them with some other attack, they'll just die to it. Hale's punches are particularly weak against buildings, so you should definitely use your abilities instead. Buildings take a massive amount of damage from Slam. As I mentioned at the start of the video, it makes engineers sad. If you're struggling with any particular sentry-ness, it's best to avoid it and come back later. There's no use walking into it and taking a massive amount of damage when you could instead make clever use of your abilities. What you just saw was Sweeping Charge, which destroys buildings in an instant. This ability is activated by holding the reload button, and like the Slam, it has a cooldown. When activated, you'll stop in place, even while airborne. The longer you charge it up, the longer the punch will last. The punch itself actually uses Demo Knight's charge as a base, so I'll be directly comparing the two attacks. Good thing I'm uniquely qualified to talk about this. Your ability to turn left and right is limited, but you can still turn up and down with no issue. In other words, imagine a Demo Knight charging underwater. Since it works like swimming, you don't have to worry about doing complex charge strafing patterns to build up speed. The punch's base speed is nearly twice as fast as a Demo Knight charge, so it should be very easy to use in comparison. Anyone you slam into will take damage and get knocked away from you. It's another good tool for dealing with crowds of enemies, and you can even combo it with other attacks to deal with soldiers, heavies, or Demo Knights. Just make sure you don't waste your brave jump while charging. Yeah, apparently you can do that. It could end up getting fixed though. Here's something you might not know.
I'm making this video longer, aren't I? Alright, after this video.
30 days ago, I built a functioning beach ecosystem in my room. Throughout the month, these coastal plants and animals have evolved to survive the harsh seaside environment. I even simulated intense natural disasters to see how the animals would react. Despite starting as a lifeless desert, it was able to transform into a thriving, colorful beach. But to understand how, we need to go back to day one, where I got my tank, materials, and some plants. I started by laying out the base of the beach with sand, and then I added in salt water. Despite the ocean being cloudy at first, after just a few hours, the salt was able to fully dissolve in the water, leaving it ready to add our marine plants. I started with some basic rocks and seaweed. Then for the land, I added in a piece of wood, a bunch of tiny shells, and I put moss in the back to represent a seaside forest. The beach's foundations were now complete, but everything still felt empty and lifeless. It was time to add in our first creature. This may just look like a shell, but in reality it's much more. It's a protective home to keep its inhabitants safe.
See?
After surveying the environment for harm, the critter felt safe enough to fully come out and reveal himself. A hermit crab. The crab immediately went up and put his back against the wall in order to spot any potential predators. Despite their name, hermit crabs are actually very social animals. So in order to make the crab more comfortable, I added in a nice friend for him. The second hermit crab was shy at first, but soon enough he came out of his shell too. Everything seemed to be going well, so I decided to leave the ecosystem by itself for a few days. By day 4, the hermit crabs were still thriving together and had established their spot on the beach behind the log. But over and under the ocean, there was more life starting to develop. Not only had the plants started to grow, but earlier that day, I had added another form of life. 2 little watchman goby fish were swimming throughout this part of the ocean that they called their home. But these are not just normal fish, as these gobies have the special ability to scoop up mouthfuls of sand, filter out the food, and then spit the sand back out. This goby here used his ability to dig himself out a little home under a rock. Smart. Not only does this give the fish a tasty meal, but it plays a crucial role in cleaning the sand of our ocean and helping the entire ecosystem become self-sustainable. I left the beach alone over the next few days, and when I came back on day 9, I noticed a problem. The animals and plants were all fine, but hidden on some of the glass, early signs of algae had started to grow. While it wasn't much, if left unchecked for a while, it could lead to an overall decrease in water quality for the entire ocean. Now, of course, I could just clean it myself, but that's boring. So instead, I have another plan. I went out and bought 5 of these Astrea snails with beautiful looking shells, and I let them loose into the sea one by one. These snails love eating algae, and when left alone, they will simply go around cleaning the entire tank. There is one problem with snails though, and that is they are sort of known for being extremely slow. So to help them clean up any algae that shows up, I'm also going to add in another creature that eats algae. Introducing marine hermit crabs. Now you may be thinking we already have these on the beach, but the truth is these are actually incredibly different from the hermit crabs we have on the land. For one, they're like 30 times smaller, and 2, these guys need to live underwater and survive off eating algae. While on the other hand, the hermit crabs that live on the land eat moss and these little pellets. The newly added marine hermit crabs will do a great job at fitting between the cracks of rocks and accessing places that the snails might miss. Plus, these crabs are faster than the snails. Okay, maybe they're not even that fast. By day 14, the ecosystem was starting to look very cool with all sorts of different life forms. But one issue that I started to notice was in the moss that was supposed to represent a seaside forest. Over the days, the moss had started to grow at a rapid pace, and the beach was getting overrun. So far, I hadn't introduced many animals to the land portion of the beach, so this was the perfect opportunity. Crickets. These insects will be a good choice, as not only do they love to eat moss, but they also wouldn't interfere with anything in the water. I added in a couple around the mossy area, and they got straight to work eating the excess moss. But one of the crickets had made a mistake. He had wandered onto the sand towards a resting hermit crab. Now, hermit crabs are usually peaceful, but if they feel threatened, they will use their sharp claws. The cricket was walking towards his doom. After a moment, the crab turned around and spotted the cricket. The hermit crab got closer and closer until it eventually gave the cricket a tap. But thankfully, the crab didn't feel threatened enough and decided to just go on with his day. That was a close call. You better get back to eating some moss. Another few days passed, and today I wanted to simulate an extreme seaside weather event to see how the animals would react. So I turned off the lights and started to pour down rain. The hermit crabs were not very happy and immediately had to take cover under the large log. But despite the rain being annoying for the animals, it's actually very important. This is because over time, the salt water gets too salty, and the freshwater rain will even it out to the correct salinity level. And during thunderstorms at beaches, the waves also get bigger. So in order to simulate this, I added in a water pump at the edge of the ocean. The water was now moving fast, and the gobies had to hide under rocks to avoid the current. The hermit crabs in their shells were also getting thrown around a little bit. But thankfully for the snails, they were able to just grab onto a wall and avoid the extreme water conditions. After a little while, I removed the pump, stopped the rain, and turned back on the lights. The storm was now over. It was now day 22 on our beach, and it was getting closer to the end of the 30-day simulation. But before the end, I wanted to make sure the entire ecosystem was self-sustainable. So far, we already had many things to do this, such as gobies that cleaned the sand, hermit crabs and crickets that ate the moss, the snails that ate the algae, and much more. But one important thing we were lacking was a creature that would eat dead organisms and organic waste that would otherwise pollute the water. So in order to solve this, I added in a new creature. Introducing the camel shrimp. This is by far the coolest looking animal I'm adding into the ocean because, I mean, just look at it. The shrimp immediately felt comfortable enough to explore around his new home, and along the way, he encountered one of the hermit crabs. The little crab seemed to be scared at first and hid in his shell, but soon enough, the two creatures seemed to become friends. The shrimp quickly became the king of the ocean. Wherever he walked, the other animals like fish would move out of his way. But soon enough, the shrimp found a nice cozy spot on this rock to take a rest. Day 29 was now here, but our simulation wasn't over yet, as now I was going to add in our final life and finish off our beach ecosystem. To make space for what I was going to add, I had to remove this bit of seaweed, and in its place I put a beautiful piece of coral. Okay, it's not very beautiful yet, but in a few days, once it's adjusted to the water, it'll become alive and colorful. Now, coral isn't just a plant or a rock. It's actually home to hundreds of these extremely tiny animals called polyps. Polyps produce a chemical called calcium carbonate, which helps the coral they live on survive. I'll just have to leave this coral here over the next few days until it fully lights up and comes alive. On day 30, every animal, including the hermit crabs, gobies, snails, marine crabs, crickets, shrimp, and plants, were now living in peace with one another in a self-sustainable ecosystem. Thanks for watching, and if you didn't know, I'm very new to YouTube, and this is only my second ever video. It would mean a lot if you subscribed, as it helps me know you guys like these types of videos. Also, if you have any video ideas you'd like to see, comment them, and click the video on the screen to see my other videos.
Wait. Thank you, Tara Green. Love this channel. Well, see you all guys. Whatever.